We're sitting here in our studio today, and we're excited that Ed Stork with North American Specialty Products has joined us. And we're going to talk today about three specific building products that Ed and his company represent across America that we feel are vital to the startup and building of a high-performance home. And when I say the startup is because all three of them have to do with the foundation area. So Ed, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Rich.
Yeah.
We're glad to be a partner with you.
Yeah, well, this is exciting. The three products that Ed and I are going to talk a little bit about today, and I think maybe we will have some video to show you some of the actual products being installed as we move forward, are the Formadrain product, the Energy Edge product, and the Thermal Ease product. And we'll let Ed talk about each one and kind of tell the viewers how that fits in and how we're utilizing it actually in the building of this house.
Great. Well, thank you. The Formadrain product has been our flagship product for years. And what it is a 3-in-1 type product. It forms your footing. It is your radon, or your drainage component. It can be also adapted for radon evacuation. Mm-hmm. So it's 100% recycled PVC, and what it does is it's extremely low waste, and we use our product to as your footing form. I don't know if your viewers are familiar, probably, but every basement sits on a footing, which is a concrete slab, so to speak. Mm-hmm. That's the base of the building. So our whole goal is to get the construction process started correctly and at the base, and then continue on through the building envelope.
Normally in the past, the way we handled footings was that we would take dimensional lumber and form up the footings in the basement area. And usually we used 2x6s. Then if we set those at grade, and if it needed to be deeper than that, which most codes required, they would dig out the earth to get the depth that they wanted. Also, the width was determined based on what the building code or architect was saying for that particular foundation. And then they placed re-rod or steel in the footing, poured the concrete, and let it set up. The deal is, and I'm coming from this as an old builder, after all of that was done, we had to go back down in there, and we had to what we call strip the forms. We had to take all that wood back from the footing and tote it out of the basement area. Then rock was put in the basement slab area, and over by the footing, the concrete footing where the rock was, we would put a drain tile in there. And so as hydrostatic pressure, water pressure built up under the slab, we would then, that water would run over, get into the drain tile, go to wherever we had a sump pit, and then a sump pump would pump that out. And that's the way we treated footings in the past, but now we have a new way.
Yes, and so what we do is in one step we can incorporate all of those steps. Mm-hmm. And so it speeds up the building process for the actual contractor. It lowers their overall costs. And so when one step, it's a permanent foundation footing form system. So in one step, we can pour that footing, but then the drainage component is already included. So there's no return trip to come and strip away the lumber, lay down the corrugated drain tile, or the corrugated drain pipe around the foundation. And then the other nice thing with our Formadrain system is when it's put together as a system, it can be adapted for radon evacuation, which makes a healthier living environment.
Yeah, this radon thing is an interesting thing because if you went from building site to building site, sometimes the site would test for radon and sometimes it wouldn't. And this radon gas is a naturally occurring thing due to decomposing of radioactive material. And the gas comes up out of the earth. Well, if we have the basement slab poured, just like the water coming up and hitting that and going over into a drain system, The radon gas would do the same thing in that it would come up and it will seek the least resistance, so it would go over and in this case get in the formadrain. Now, what's interesting about the formadrain product, and I think we have some video that shows this, but you have one attachment in the formadrain that, if turned one way, allows for the water, which would be in the lower half of the formadrain, to go out and be admitted into a sump pump or whatever. If you take that same thing and turn it over, because the gas is going to be up on top of the water, it would allow the gas to go out that way, be vented all the way through the roof of the house. Now, that's a passive system for getting rid of the radon, because as the wind blows over that pipe going through the roof, it's kind of like just like a chimney, in that it will create suction to pull the gas out. If it's ever needs to be augmented with a motor, then that can be done as well.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Yes, yeah, that's, and our whole philosophy is, why not do it during the construction process where it's, you know, a fourth of the price after the fact.
Yeah.
And most of the time people don't realize there's a problem until something happens, you know, there's a sickness or people aren't feeling well, and then, you know, then they realize 4 or 5 years down the road that they've had this radon problem in their building the whole time. Yeah. And that's what's nice with our system is with that outlet adapter that you're referring to, it's kind of a 2-in-1. So the same component, the same product can work for both. And so it's similar concept as your plumbing fixtures. It's a passive radon system. We recommend that you vent it up through the roof line. Down the road, if it gets tested and the radon system or the radon levels are a little bit higher, you can actually go into that channel, that pipe, cut a section out, install a fan, and it can be an active system. There again, all the construction part is already in there for you. And so for a minimal cost, somebody can come in, take a chunk of that pipe out, install a fan, and now it's an active system.
Yeah. That brings up another point that I wanted to discuss with you, Ed, and because we're talking about a form and a drain, and that is the aspect of hydrostatic pressure building up under a house. I think a lot of it has to do with the water table. You know, there's certain times of the year where the tables drop down because of the lack of rain, and other times when it's very rainy, it comes up. But nevertheless, water pressure can build up under a house. And that's historically why we formed up the footings, put drain tile in a rock bed, because as that water came up, it always seeks the least resistance, and it would flow through the rocks and get over into some place it could go, which was the drain tile, and then take it to a sump so we could pump it out. But formadrain still accomplishes that same thing, right?
Yes, it does. And what we found is the more progressive builders, they'll actually have that drain component on both sides of the footing. And that's what's nice with the formadrain, because it can get water. It's either on the inside of the footing, which is along the basement wall or the basement floor, or coming along the basement wall on the outside. So it collects all that water and then discharges it away from the building.
And I think we probably have got some video to show that, but one side of the formadrain is solid and the other side is perforated. And so if I'm making a form, I put the two solid pieces toward each other and then pour the concrete in between that. But both of them then on the other side acts as a drain collector for the water that we're talking about. And I know a lot of times when people build a building and they put the whole thing down in the ground, you know, like basement all the way around, that they'll want to take that water pressure that's on the outside, actually take it through the footing to collect it on the inside so they can go to a sump pump. And formadrain makes connectors for that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, and what we do is the connectors get water from the outside in and the inside out, but we take it to a collection point. Most of the people use a sump pump, which will pull any of the water in the system into a basin and then pumps it out of the house. And other instances, some people will, we call it daylight, well, they'll take it to the outside of the house.
Yeah, I think in the project, the Oasis that we've been showing our viewers a lot about, that house has a walkout area. So the water on the exterior could go to that walkout area and then be taken out, as you said, to daylight, which gets it out away from the building on the outside. Okay. Well, Farmer Drain's a great product, and we're excited that you're partnering with us so that we can make it an essential part of our high-performance built home. We're going to introduce another little guy named Popsicle. They laugh about me talking about foundations not being insulated. It's like going out in the winter with a heavy coat and forgot to put your pants on. But when we talk about a house that has a walkout area, or if it's built, as they say, on slab, doesn't have a basement, it's very important to insulate around the perimeter of that concrete to protect frost from coming in and so on and so forth. And you've got a little guy that you use in your commercials called Popsicle. Tell us about Popsicle, what he's...
Popsicle is a neat little character that the Energy Edge office created, but it explains it really explains just what we're trying to get through. And Popsicle is a little character, and he's all bundled up for winter, and he has his long sleeve shirt on and a sweatshirt and a jacket, and he has a scarf, and he has his stocking hat on. But he forgot his shoes.
Oh,
and so
good.
It does no good to go out in the cold if you don't have protection over your shoes. And Energy Edge just does that. It protects the shoe of the building, the slab of the building.
That's the connection. Mm-hmm. And so that's a product that North American Specialty Products has called Energy Edge. And I guess what people need to know is when you have a walkout area of a home, or if you build a home that's slab on grade, as they say, the footings have to go down to below the frost level, and that's usually prescribed by the building code. But as you come up to where the house is actually being built, that exterior edge also needs to be insulated. And that's hard to do with the normal forms. But Energy Edge is created so that you combine, again, the form material and the insulation in one product. Is that right?
Yes, it's a 3-in-1 product. It forms, it insulates, and it protects. So what we do is we replace conventional form lumber for that footing, but in one step, it's a permanent stay-in-place form. So there's no need to come back and strip out the forms and insulate the concrete slab. What we found was during the construction process, the typical construction process, they would do a trench footing or a frost footing. Mm-hmm. They would come in with their protection board, and they would leave a little bit, 6 or 8 inches up above for the slab, and then the slab would come in and get poured. But during that construction process, during the entire process of when that building was being built, that top 6 or 8 inches would get damaged, or when the landscapers came in, they cut it out. Mm-hmm. And so initially there was going to be insulation there, but 9 times out of 10, it never ended up on that building. Yeah. Whereas our product is a permanent stay-in-place product, and not only will it insulate, but it has a protective covering, so it protects the building.
And it looks good.
Thanks.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it looks good. That's Energy Edge, and so people need to look for that. And we want to mention that you operate through distributors as North American Specialty Products, and the distributor in our area that we utilize is Anthony Supply in Greenville, Illinois. And they have a great company up there and very orientated toward service to their customers. And they've partnered with us on this project as well. And the president's Holland Anthony, and Anthony Supply has worked great with us.
Yeah, and we've had a great relationship with Holland and Anthony Supply, and he's been in business for 3 generations, and so it's been a great partnership. And we have similar partnerships throughout the United States, but we really do strive on service, and so that is one of our criteria for our distributors, is we want a distributor who will service the end user.
And Anthony Supply provides all three of these products that we're talking about today,
Yes.
being the Farmer Drain, the Energy Edge, and the
Thermese, yes.
Thermese.
And he stocks and sells all the North American specialty products.
Okay. The third product that we want to talk about today is an exciting product because it allows for what I'm such a big proponent of, and that's insulating the foundation of a home. And I've got a piece of expanded polystyrene insulation here, which at 2 inches thick would give you about an R10 insulation, probably effective rate of R10 as it went around the foundation wall. And that is a really good number to work with in terms of insulated foundation, because you're going to get some protection from the extreme cold by the exterior dirt that's up on the foundation wall. But if overall you insulate your foundation to an R10, that's going to make a home really perform. I always say conservatively that 30% of the heat in a home is lost through an uninsulated foundation. And when you get into the specifics of that, many people think it's higher than that, but that's a good conservative rate. And it's 30% of conditioned air that I don't want to lose, okay? And so just insulating with a product like a polystyrene is a good thing to do. But you guys have come up with a system that makes that much more exciting, and we'll talk about that. You call it Thermal Ease.
Therma-Ease. Yes. And we're very excited because this is a product that we've had for a while, but like you said, not too many people have put much emphasis on insulating the foundation wall. Mm-hmm. And now as the new codes are being adopted, as more people are getting into energy efficiency, mm-hmm. we have a product that certainly meets their needs.
Yeah. The problem that some people experience with taking a foundation after it's, and we're talking primarily a poured foundation, after it's done and coming and attaching insulation to it, after the fact, is that just the nature of foundation walls are not necessarily dead straight and even. And so the product like this, the edges of it are, and if you try to glue that to an existing foundation, you get areas that are attached and areas that aren't attached behind it. And therein lies a situation where building inspectors will say, you've insulated it, but now you need to drywall it. Well, maybe they weren't ready to drywall. They were thinking, we'll insulate to get the protection from the cold and save some energy, but we want to finish our lower level or our basement later. But now they're telling us we have to drywall, which was an expense we weren't planning on. And the reason they're telling them to do that is because in case of a fire, that drywall would create some protection. If they didn't have the drywall on there and they had just glued it on to the foundation, they would have air pockets behind there. And as the fire would hit this, it'd probably just melt this a bit, but it might explode that air behind it and cause the insulation to be blown across the room. And that's what they call in the fire world flame spread, But if with your product, this actually goes inside of the concrete forms before the concrete is poured. And that creates what for the people that are watching?
Exactly. What it does is our product will go inside the concrete form, aluminum form or wood form. It can be used on the inside or the outside or both. Mm-hmm. But because it is installed prior to the concrete being poured into that form, this foam has millions of little contact points. So it is in before the concrete is poured and before it dries. So when the concrete is dried, then it adheres to that concrete and thus eliminating those air gaps.
Yeah, and as the concrete's going in, it's pushing the air out, right? And like you say, then that allows the concrete to bond to this. And there's even testing that's been done that show that it passes like a flame spread, because if heat were applied to it, it would just melt, but it wouldn't explode because of that. So that makes it a whole nother ball game, because you can insulate your foundation. You can come back later and drywall it and finish your lower level basement. I like the word lower level, because if it's done right, it doesn't seem like you're in a basement.
Exactly.
If it's done wrong, it seems like you're in a basement. And then this is the other aspect of this that we want to talk about, because that's what makes this work for the future development of it, and also makes it really a strong product. You want to talk about that a little bit?
What these blue pieces are what we call a web, and there's it acts as a furring strip. So if we're using it on the inside of the form, you can, when you install your drywall, you can just screw right to it. If you're using it on the outside, you can put whatever, siding or stucco or whatever your exterior finish is going to be.
So that actually goes into this slot here, right?
Yes, this foam is cut to the exact same size dimension as whatever the poured wall contractor's wall forms are.
Okay.
So typically it'll be 3 foot by 8 foot high, 3 foot by 9, and there'll be 6 of these webs in each piece of foam.
Okay, so this goes in like this, and then when the forms are being set, they set this inside the form. This part is interior. We've got a concrete form over here and one here, and so what you've got is this web is inside, and when the concrete's poured, it's poured all in and around this. I notice these little notches here. That's for allowing re-rod,
Or steel
is steel that they run long ways in the concrete wall to set in those, and could be tied off so it stays in place. And this, they actually set the outside in. We'll just talk about putting it on the inside for simplicity's sake. They set the outside form, then they set this form of this product, and then they set the outside form. And when it's all said and done, they pour the concrete. Well, it bonds around that part of this web. And so when they take the outside form off, it's not going anywhere, because it's all bonded together. Yeah. And then on the inside of the lower level, you've got this nice white wall with all of these furring strips that are already in there. So when you attach your drywall later on to it, or whatever you're putting up, then it's not going to go anywhere, because it's bonded into the concrete, and it gives you somewhere to attach drywall.
And when the concrete is poured, this web will pull through, where this piece will be flush with the
because
foam.
The weight of the concrete is pushing this back against the form, which makes this a perfect fit on this side.
Yes.
Yeah. What a great product. How long has this product been on the market?
8 or 9 years now.
Okay.
It's been out a while, but like we said, there was never that focus on basement insulation, but now, or lower grade insulation.
It's really coming to the forefront now, because the energy codes are requiring an insulated foundation. And usually when you see that as a prescribed requirement, they'll attach an R10 to it. In other words, you should insulate to an R10. And we've talked a lot about effective rate of insulation. If you can continue the insulation without thermal breaks in it, the effective rate goes up. And so this product, Thermaease, is meeting that demand.
Exactly.
And again, this product is from North American Specialty Products, distributed in our area by Anthony Supply in Greenville, Illinois. And so we're excited that the Oasis that we build will have this in it, and we'll be able to show the results of that to our viewers over a long period of time.
And the other advantage to this Thermaease product is that there's no expensive equipment to buy. You can use the exact same system they're currently using. All we're doing is we're just adding the foam into the current model.
Yeah. And I know that some contractors that are doing foundations will have 2-foot wide forms, and so this actually mirrors that. Some of them have 3-foot forms that mirror that as well. So that's great. Well, we want to thank you, Ed, for being here and sharing with our viewers some of these aspects of these 3 exciting products. And we're excited to incorporate them into the high-performance home we're building. And we're excited that your company has decided to partner with us on this project. So thank you very much.
And thank you.